So, welcome to Diversity Matters, where we engage with leaders who are shaping a more inclusive, forward thinking real estate industry. I'm your host, Teresa Palacio Smith, and today's guest is someone I've admired for quite some time. Angie Javier is the national speaker and marketing specialist at Realtor.com, and her work has touched nearly every corner of our industry, from educational outreach to multicultural engagement to being a powerful voice for women in leadership. She travels the country representing Realtor.com at key industry events, including NAHREP, NAREB, AREAA, and the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance, just to name a few. But beyond titles and travel, Angie is creating real value by connecting people, delivering insights, and amplifying stories that deserve to be heard. Angie, I'm so excited to have you on Diversity Matters. Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you so much, Teresa. I know we've been talking about this for quite some time, and it's such an honor to be here with you today.
And one of the things I love to learn about our guests is, how did you get started? Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you join Realtor.com and to this very impactful national industry role?
Oh, I really love this question. I've been in marketing for a really long time, but my real estate journey started back in 2004 when I worked at a very large brokerage here in Northern California. My first role was I was a real estate assistant to a single agent. And eventually, I became the marketing coordinator for our office, which supported a little over 100 agents. And this was in the early days of online marketing. So if you think of the timeline, 2004, that's when around the iPhone first came out, Facebook became a thing, the laptops were becoming the norm for agents to carry around. So I came in right at the right time. And one of the parts of my job was to make sure that every listing and every agent showed up online, including Realtor.com. And so I still remember thinking how incredible it was to see listings from all over the country in one place. And that's when I really fell in love with the idea of helping agents market themselves and their business. I knew that I wanted to grow beyond the regional level in Northern California and support the industry on a more national scale. So when the opportunity with Realtor.com came along, this was around 2017, 2018, I jumped right at it and I never looked back.
Oh, wow, that's so exciting. I started the NAREP Atlanta chapter around that time. That's really interesting that that was the time that you were launching the real, that you were getting into Realtor.com. Really do remember that onset of the phone and marketing and how everything was just kind of really, really expanding into these types of virtual markets. I love it. And I think that what's really interesting is how Realtor.com really has kind of enveloped into really helping consumers, right? In connecting realtors with that marketplace. And how does the work that you're doing support that mission, especially with agents, and your focus on educating them and outreach so that our agents are better connected and understand the importance of that.
I really believe that when real estate professionals and agents are empowered with the right education and they have the right tools and support, they will show up more confidently. And that directly impacts how well they serve their buyers and sellers. So, my work here at Realtor.com is really all about creating those opportunities, whether it's through national webinars, it's through my in person workshops, or partnering with our industry organizations to reach the agents where they are. And it's just incredibly rewarding to help build a more informed, inclusive, and connected real estate community because that's what ultimately helps buyers and sellers feel supported too.
Well, one of the things too that I think is really interesting is that you serve as a national speaker and marketing specialist, and you worked in real estate, which I think is critical. A lot of times I feel like a lot of our marketing people don't have that background of the real estate knowledge, which is really important. And I think because of the fact that you do have that knowledge and you also speak with agents across the country, what is the message that you think you need to have our agents walk away with that's really key, especially dealing with what's happening in today's marketplace? You have a lot of things that have happened. You've got the NAR settlement, you've got AI interrupting space, you've got a lot of mergers and acquisitions with, Redfin and, with Rocket Mortgage, a lot going on. So, what are the themes that you speak to with agents that are really key in their development?
Yeah, when I'm speaking to agents and brokers, I really try to focus on helping them connect the dots between who they are, what they offer, and ultimately how they show up. Because it's not just about having market knowledge, it's about knowing how to communicate your value, how to build trust with buyers and sellers, and just stay relevant in this rapidly changing landscape. So I like to emphasize on practical strategies that they can use right away, like lead conversion systems, authentic marketing, consistent follow-up. But beyond tactics, I remind agents that they're more than just salespeople, right? And we know this. They're educators, they're advocates, they're community leaders. And when they show up in their communities and to customers and their clients, and they have that clarity and confidence, they don't just attract clients, they're elevating the profession as a whole.
And that's so important because I think, us elevating the position of realtors is really key in understanding our own craft and also making sure that we communicate the value that we offer that has been so misunderstood for so many years. I think a lot of times agents don't really let the buyers know what all we do in the transaction. And I think today more than ever, obviously, with the settlement of understanding what buyers do and everything that goes into that process, how much time we really actually spend in that buyer. Because a lot of times they think, oh, it's so easy. You found this home, it took you no time, or you sold it within 24 hours. There's so much that goes behind the scenes that's really critical for them to understand, that I think the value that you bring by teaching them skills, I think is really going to be important. One of the things that I think that I love that you are present in, and you talk about being present, is the fact that we see the value too in being involved in the organizations that we're involved with. We're involved with, in fact, last week we're with AREAA, right? We're with the board of directors in their meeting. We are involved with NAHREP, the Alliance. We're involved with NAREB. We're involved with the organizations that we know are really vital to communities. And you talked about how important we understand community involvement is. There are these organizations that we know are growing, right? They're going to be the largest growth in homeownership in many areas of the country by 2040. The Latino community is going to be the largest. So we know how important it is. But how is it also important for our agents and brokerages in general to also show up in and be involved with these organizations? Because I know Realtor.com is there, right?
Yep, yep. So for real estate brands, like Realtor.com, and even as brokerages and solo agents, showing up in these spaces, with AREAA, NAREP, the Realtus, the Alliance, showing up is more than just the visibility. It's about building trust and standing in alignment with the work that the organizations are doing. They are on the front lines of expanding home ownership and opportunity, especially in the underserved communities. So when we show up, not just as sponsors, but as engaged participants and partners, we demonstrate that we're listening, we're learning, and committed to being part of the solution. And we share a common mission with our partner groups to help address the housing affordability crisis and closing the supply gap in America. And that kind of change only happens when we work in partnership with intention and with care.
That is so beautifully said. I love that, Angie. That is, and the fact that you actually said realtist, right? Which is really critical. There is a difference, and you only know that when you're involved and you are there, right? You're present, which I think is really important. One thing that you do so well, and I've actually been involved, I've actually attended your sessions, and I love, love, love attending your sessions because I learned something every single time. You created the results series of webinars. Tell me a little bit about that. What inspired you to create those, and how do you choose which strategies or which topics you choose to spotlight or help, every single, time that you do one?
Yeah, I love talking about the results series. It's my baby here. The Realtor.com results series was born out of a simple but important idea. Agents are busy. They need actionable, relevant insights they can use right now. So I wanted to create a space where they could consistently learn, they can be inspired and leave with something tangible, not just theory, but real strategies that works for them in today's market. And it's not just for new agents. Even the most experienced professionals in our industry can learn something new because Teresa, continuous learning is what keeps us valuable. It keeps us adaptable and ahead of the curve. And so when I'm choosing topics, I stay close to the conversations agents are having right now. And that could be from lead conversion and marketing to tech tools, shifting buyer behavior. There's no lack of topics and new things to evolve and learn in our industry. And I make sure that each webinar, each presentation is timely, practical, and worth showing up for.
So how do people access the webinars? Do you keep them in archives so people can go and see them? Where do people go and access them?
Yeah, right on realtor.com. There's multiple ways, but I'd say the easiest way is at support.realtor.com/training. That's where all of our training at realtor.com is available for our current clients, our agent clients, as well as people who just are curious and want to learn about realtor.com. We have over, I want to say 50, 60 sessions we do live every month. And then there's a section on there called the results series. And so you'll see there's about 8 topics that I do every month in rotation. I have a guest speaker from the industry that comes once a month. We should do something together in the results series. We'll have to
Let's do
plan. We have
it.
to. Yeah. And so, for example, this month we're talking about community and the importance of showing up your community in content. And so, yeah, it's on support.realtor.com/training. That's where you can find the results series and the links to the on demand as well.
And is it free for anyone that wants to
Yeah,
access it?
it
Which
is
is
free
the
to learn.
best word, right? So anyone can go and check out their series. Awesome. And again, Angie is the best trainer. I've actually attended various series. I did one at the Alliance and I loved it because it was on AI. And I picked up a couple new ideas that really helped me. So again, Angie, always, always great. One of the things I think is really important is understanding too that there are gaps. People do not always understand what's brand new. And you mentioned some of the things. So, what is it that you are seeing either in marketing and technology today that is really something you say, okay, this is one thing that I'm going to recommend everyone do to close a gap that they may not have thought of that they should be doing?
Can I be honest with you? One of the biggest gaps I see is confidence, agents' confidence, especially when it comes to marketing, video, and technology. A lot of agents, they know they should be showing up online and they know they should be utilizing video or leveraging new tools, but a lot of times they're overwhelmed or not sure where to start. There are also a lot of agents who are already using the tools, but without any clear strategy or consistent follow through, which makes it hard to see results. So here with Realtor.com in the results series, our sessions are designed to bridge that gap. I focus on simple tactical strategies that they can take to turn ideas into action. So for example, it's one thing to receive leads from online, such as our Connections Plus solutions, but knowing how to follow up and what to say and when to say it can make the difference between a cold lead and a closed deal. And that's what the results series is all about. And training in general is helping agents build that confidence so they can convert more and aligning that education with the tools they already have access to.
I think that is so true. I think lack of confidence, people get really nervous when there's a camera in front of them. They think, oh my God, I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I sound. Do I really sound like that? No, let's take, it really is true. It doesn't matter. Just do it, right? I always just say, just go for it, do it. But the truth is, and you nipped it in the bud, is follow up. I think that's really critical. And having, that system in place to continually get in front and have something that always is, sending that message so your clients definitely, or your prospects, right, are constantly seeing you, right? Because that's what's going to remind them that you're a realtor, that you're in business to do business, right? Because sometimes they just think you're a friend. And how often has that been where you have someone that you have talked to a million times, they know you're a realtor, but then you hear they bought a house from someone else,
Yeah.
right? And that's because to them you're a friend and not really serious about real estate, right? Oh, well, you're just a friend. And so making sure that you're always top of mind when it comes to the business of real estate, that's critical. That's where I think what you do, Angie, is really helpful. All right, as we shift, one more question about the evolution of AI,
Mm.
because I think it's really critical. And I don't know if you know this, Alan, so Angie, I'm gonna promote Alan's book because it just came out. He just did a book called AI to AI Gent, and I'm very lucky because I'm actually, I wrote a chapter in the book on fair housing, okay, and some of the tools that I use. But he had several collaborators. But I think it's really interesting because he did a lot of study, right? And of course, his background being with Realtor.com, that's where he started that evolution of research. And I know that's why Realtor.com is so incredibly cool and good because of the research that you do. How have you been able to help agents stay ahead of the curve when it comes to that specific AI shifting consumer behavior?
I think we can all agree that change is constant in this industry, and right now it's happening faster. So, from AI and automation to how consumers are searching, how they're deciding and connecting, and what Realtor.com is doing really well is helping agents adapt with purpose. So we're not just introducing new tools, we're creating space for the agents to learn, to ask questions, and just to build that confidence to use them. So with AI, that might mean smarter follow-up strategies or content generation, everything they learn in the results series, understanding that shifting consumer behavior. So it ultimately means teaching agents how to build trust faster and communicate their value more clearly. Now, shifting a little bit, I wanted to touch on, you know, on diversity, equity, and inclusion. We're also reinforcing the idea that being inclusive isn't a trend, it's the foundation for that long-term relevance. And so ultimately, our role is to help agents move with the market and not chase it, whether it be through understanding the evolution of AI or really understanding how to adapt to DEI.
Oh, I love that's beautiful. That's really important too, because I think the humanity sometimes is lost.
Yeah.
And I think making sure that people remember how important it is critical, right? Especially when we're working with a human factor, right? Now, you are such a respected voice, not just in women, but also for the AA, NHI, PI community. So, what has that meant for you personally, and how do you use the platform to lift others up? Because you are lifting me up. I actually thought you were Latina, right? Because you're a
All the
mix. And
time.
I'm going to claim a little bit of that Filipino because y'all, we were Spanish, remember, a little bit Hispanic to begin with, but being Filipino, right, with your background, how do you, lift others up and use that platform?
It means just such a great deal to be seen as a voice for women leaders in this space and as a woman of color, especially because I've been supported by so many strong women throughout my journey. I see leadership as a responsibility, not just to show up, but to create space for others to rise. And so, through the work I've been doing with the organizations like AREAA and NAREP, and the Alliance, even the Women's Council as well, I'm able to connect with a wide range of leaders and help elevate voices that deserve to be heard. So, like I said, once a month in my results series, I will usually have a guest speaker. Usually it's a rising leader or even someone that has been in the industry for some time, but you won't see the most common names that we constantly see at different events and at different webinars, right? I really try to be very inclusive and I'm very intentional on who's my guest speakers. You know, I often like to recommend someone for different speaking roles, especially if there's a request for me and I'm not able to make it, I usually will recommend people to take my place. I love amplifying others' stories and just making the right introductions at the right time. I truly believe in collaboration over competition. And I think I use my platform to make sure that women, particularly women of color, are seen and we're supported and celebrated in our industry.
That's why I love you so much. Angie, I'm serious. You're just so fantastic. And I love your spirit, your passion, and what you do in elevating others. One of the things that I think is so critical too with the work that you do, but also what Realtor.com is that you are forward thinking and you understand how critical it is to be ahead of the curve, right? And when it comes to innovation and inclusion, which we talked a little bit about earlier, and especially in the communities that we are involved with. What excites you? What do you see in the future that we should be keeping in our radar?
Well, here at Realtor.com, innovation leads the way. That's where our focus starts. We're continually evolving our technology to meet the needs of today's agents and brokers. We have solutions like enhanced listing intelligence. We have our Connections Plus lead generation solution. We have MVIP for teams. Now, what's exciting is how we're applying smarter data and AI to make these tools even more effective. So, helping our clients not just get leads, but prioritize and convert them more efficiently. So, looking ahead, we're focused on really delivering insights that helps professionals stay agile, connect with their consumers faster, and just navigate a market that's only getting more complex, right, Teresa? So most of all, we want our clients, our agents to feel confident that when they partner with us, that they're backed by a platform that's truly built to help them succeed.
Well, you are one of the platforms that does directly connect with the National Association of Realtors, which is really important for us. You are born out of that organization. We really appreciate all that you do. And so, I really want to thank you, Angie, because of all the work that you do. You're very involved with so many organizations. You do so much work in the training space. And I really think that you are just a jewel and a gift to Realtor.com. I hope they appreciate everything that you do for them because I certainly do. And I know that a lot of our agents that participate in your training come out so much more educated with all the tricks and tips that you offer. I certainly did learn several new ideas when I actually attended at the Alliance. I attended your training. I don't know if you remember that.
I
So,
remember that.
so I remember attending that, and that was the one training that I had to, because I attend so many seminars that you're like, okay, I've been there, I've done that, I've been there, I've done that. But I always look forward to your training sessions. All right, as we wrap our session here, I always love to learn something that's new about our guest. And one thing I love to hear is about your culture, something that I think is fun to, about maybe a dish or celebration that brings your family together? What is something that if I were lucky enough to be invited, that would be an absolutely have to try either dish or event that would be something that I would not want to miss?
Oh, I love this question. First of all, you are invited and you're never going to leave. You will always be a part of our family. As I mentioned earlier, I am first generation Filipino American. So in my family, any reason to get together is a good reason. And right now it's June, it's graduation season, it's the start of the summer. It just brings back so many memories of big family gatherings from when I was a child. Was swimming all day with our cousins, karaokeing with all the aunties, and always a table full of food. So, no matter what was going on in the world at the time, my parents made sure that we were surrounded by joy. And I feel like creating that same space for the new generations of the nieces and nephews and the younger cousins we have today. So if there's one thing, my mom was known for her desserts. And Teresa, if you were lucky enough to visit, you'd absolutely be leaving with a slice of her famous Filipino flan. It was non-negotiable, and it'd be something that you would remember forever.
What's it made? What's the flan? Is it made out of crema de leche, the tres leches? Is it
Yeah, yeah. And for Filipinos, it's called leche flan.
okay?
For Mexicans, it's just called flan. It's more thicker, it's more dense, and my mom just had the best.
Oh my God. So does she still make it?
I have her recipe. My mom has passed on, but I have a small book of her recipes, and so I
Oh my
haven't
God.
tried
Do
it
you
yet.
make it?
I will try very soon.
You need to
I'm
make it.
nervous.
You need to make it, girl, because you need
Yes.
to pass that on to your family. So, oh my God, that's beautiful. I definitely would have loved to have had her flan. And it sounds like that is something that I will not want to miss. So you'll have to definitely try it. I really appreciate that, Angie. And I love the celebration. Do you make plantains? Because y'all do plátanos, right?
Yeah, I have not it, but I enjoy them very much.
That is something that we share in common. I love plátanos.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Angie. I really enjoyed this thoughtful and powerful conversation. And I think that it's no doubt that you bring so much heart, strategy, and authenticity to this industry. And I know our audience is walking away with, so much knowledge and inspired more than ever. So, to everyone listening, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to tune into our next Women Who Lead episode, which is going to be on July 9th, where we're going to spotlight some of the phenomenal NAREP Top 250 winners, Latinas who are absolutely dominating in real estate and community impact. And then mark your calendars for July 26th, because we're going to have another dynamic, insightful episode of Diversity Matters. We're going to have Jerry Asensio and Sergio Barajas. They just launched the Hispanic Contractors Organization. And so we're going to be speaking about that. I can't wait. Until then, remember, stay bold, stay inclusive, and always, always remember that diversity matters. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you next month. Bye bye. Thanks. Thanks.